many have actually heard the term fodder related to sprouts? One. Okay, kind of get an idea of what I'm thinking. I guess I should start with how I got into this. A guy drove into my yard with a little unit like that. It so happened it was in the fall, and I was busy barning hay, and I'd been out pretty early in the morning, and he came in about 10, 11 o'clock, and I just happened to pull in the yard in the squeeze, and he says, "You got to see this thing." And I looked at it, and I don't even see anything, because I still got 3 loads to unload. So he persisted, and I recognized that, that could be interesting. I said, "But I got to run the other store. You get in the truck, you got 10 minutes up and 10 minutes back, and then you get out, and I'm going to go back to work." Well, driving up, he was talking all about how great this stuff is, and he's telling me all kinds of things that, quite frankly, I didn't believe, because I didn't think that was possible. And then, turning around, driving back, I started to think about our business and how things are changing. We ship a lot of organic feed in our market area. People are more aware of what they're feeding their stock, their horses, their pets, their poultry. They're paying attention to those things. And I thought, maybe this could be something that's kind of interesting. I think that it would make a great treat for chickens. And people would come in the store, and we'd cut this up, which we really did do, into little bitty chunks, and we'd sell it to them like that, and they could take it home and feed it to their chickens for a treat. Like you give your horse a treat, you give your dog a treat. Everybody gets treats. Okay, so I thought that could be okay. And then I thought, well, if we put organic grain in there, then it would be organic, and that would satisfy this need for my organic customers. No GMOs, they'd be happy. It's still a really good treat. It's fresh. How many people go in the store and buy wheatgrass because it's really fresh? And I saw some people out there kind of going like this with this because it just looks really nice, because it is. So I'm driving back, and I think, well, this might not be a bad idea. So I got back down. He said whatever he was going to say. I said, "I got another appointment, I got to go," and I left. Well, he called me back a couple days later and said, "I think we got to do something with this." The technology comes from Australia. The gentlemen who designed this are Terry Collis and Flavio Roncanello. He is Australian, even though he's Italian by descent. But I met them probably about a month or so after I got our first machine. Because to be quite honest, they built it like it was built in Australia, where it's kind of mild. We live in the foothills. It froze. All the irrigation was on the outside. The pipe shattered. It had a heat pump on top, and it froze. One day I went in there, and there's this big block of ice on top of there. Well, it just looked like that, only that cooler on top was just a big chunk of ice. I thought, this thing's not so good. Maybe this isn't going to be a good thing. But I like to tinker with things, so I thought, we got to keep fooling with this. But I still think it's a good idea. I just think they're a little misplaced in the concept as far as how they build it for the States. At any rate, they were very good about coming up and taking care of things, which they did. And we actually ended up sticking it in the garage at the house, thinking that might help a little bit so that we didn't have so much of a problem. We did insulate the pipes. And then we got it to working pretty well. And we would take, this unit right here will produce what we call a biscuit, which is what this is. It was producing 6 biscuits a day. There was a couple of people, customers of mine, that were well familiar with it. One was an organic dairyman, had a small, and I say small group of dairy cows. I'll say 36, but that's the number of legs in his dairy, not the number of cows. So you can figure out not very many. But he started feeding it. I had another gentleman who has breeding ewes and lambs, and he started to use it. So, and then we just would give it to anybody that wanted to try it. Because they take it home, this is pretty nice, we want to try this, it's a good deal. The dairy was pretty interesting. But this gentleman, he's raised a Guernsey Jersey cross. But what he observed was a significant, and I'm not talking like just a little bit, his cream line was maybe here, and his cream line went about that much further in about 30 days by feeding sprouts. Now we have documented tests from a veterinarian who milks goats, and her milk fats, and this is adding this in addition to her traditional method of feeding, which is test alfalfa, grains, obviously minerals, very well taken care of because she's a large animal vet, so she takes good care of her herd. And after the first 30 days, she says, "I don't think it's really going to do anything. I don't see it." So they really like it. She says, if I don't give it to them, she says, they scream and holler until I feed it to them. They'll love it. But she goes, I don't see any different milk tests. So I said, well, keep feeding it. Let's just see what happens, because I want to know what's going to happen. Maybe nothing's going to happen, and if that were the case, I wouldn't be standing here. The 60-day test came back, and she had it in her hand when we were out there saying, you need to see this. You're not going to believe this. I don't believe it. She actually literally had, across the board, about a 60% increase in milk fat. On late lactation does, increase in milk with some, leveled out on others. So what we've seen in we started doing this in '09, the fall of '09. So we've been sprouting at the feed store now for better than 2.5 years and selling it to customers. We sell about a ton a day. People either come pick it up or we actually deliver it to them. Depends on when we feed all species, commercial cow, milk goats, breeding sheep, free-range poultry, broilers, swine. We have some horses. We have an equine vet there that recommends it, especially for horses that have gastrointestinal problems because it's got a lot of moisture in it. You can't colic a horse with this product, even though it really looks bright and green. It is not green, high fructan type of a grass like you have outside when it's coming up fresh because it's a sprout. There's some differences there. Pretty much everything, even down to if a customer comes in and buys it for land tortoise. So it feeds across the board very well.